Have you ever noticed that the relationship you have with yourself eventually becomes the relationship you have with your entire life? It doesn't happen all at once. It happens slowly, quietly, almost invisibly. The standards you accept from yourself become the standards you accept from everyone else. The promises you break to yourself become easier to break in every other area of your life. The excuses you make for yourself slowly become the limits of what you believe you're capable of. Then one day you wake up and wonder how you ended up somewhere you never intended to be. The truth is, you didn't arrive there overnight. You treated yourself there. When people hear the words self-respect, they often think about confidence. They think about standing up for yourself, setting boundaries, walking away from toxic people. And those things matter. But I think self-respect begins much earlier than that. Long before you tell someone else how they can treat you. You've already decided how you are going to treat yourself. That's where it starts. Think about the promises you've made to yourself. Maybe you told yourself you'd wake up earlier, you'd get healthier, you'd stop wasting time, you'd learn a new skill, you'd finally chase the goal that's been sitting in the back of your mind for years. At the time, you meant every word. You weren't lying. You believed yourself, but then something happened. The alarm went off. Work became stressful. Life became busy. You were tired. Tomorrow seemed like a better option. And another promise quietly disappeared. One broken promise doesn't seem like much. Neither does the second or the 10th. But your mind is paying attention every single time. It keeps a record, not to punish you, to protect you. Because your brain is always trying to predict your future behavior. If you've repeatedly shown yourself that your own promises don't matter, your brain starts believing they never will. Eventually, it stops taking your intentions seriously. You say you'll start Monday. Your own mind doesn't believe you anymore. You say you'll change this time. Your own mind has seen that movie before. That's a painful place to be. Not because you lack potential, because you've unintentionally taught yourself that your own word has very little value. I think that's one of the hidden reasons people struggle with confidence. Everyone tells them to believe in yourself. But belief isn't built through positive thinking alone. Belief is built through evidence. If every promise you make to yourself ends the same way, why would your mind suddenly become confident? Confidence isn't something you convince yourself to have. Confidence is earned. It's earned every time you follow through, every time you do something difficult, every time you prove that your words and your actions belong together. Imagine meeting someone who constantly lied to you. Every week they promised something. Every week they disappeared. Every week they had another explanation. Eventually you'd stop trusting them. Not because you hated them, because they'd shown you a consistent pattern. Now ask yourself something uncomfortable. How many promises have you broken to yourself this year? How many times have you said, tomorrow? How many times have you promised you'll finally become consistent? If someone else treated you the way you've treated yourself, would you trust them? That's the uncomfortable truth about self-respect. It isn't lost in one dramatic moment. It's worn away through repetition, every excuse, every unnecessary compromise, every time you settle for less than what you know you're capable of. Little by little, the relationship with yourself changes. And once that relationship weakens, everything else becomes harder. Discipline becomes harder. Focus becomes harder. Confidence becomes harder. Because the foundation underneath all of them has cracks in it. I think most people spend too much time trying to fix the branches while ignoring the roots. They want more motivation, more discipline, more productivity. But underneath all of those things is one deeper question. Do you respect yourself enough to keep your own word? Because if the answer is no, it doesn't matter how many motivational videos you watch. You'll always find yourself starting over, not because you're weak, because your relationship with yourself needs to be rebuilt. The good news is that trust works both ways. Just as it can be lost through repetition, it can also be rebuilt through repetition. One kept promise, then another, then another. Not giant promises, small ones. Promises you're certain you can keep. Because every kept promise sends a different message to your mind. It says, maybe we're changing. Maybe we actually mean it this time. Maybe we're becoming someone we can rely on. One of the biggest mistakes people make is setting goals that are so large they immediately overwhelm themselves. They decide they're going to completely transform their life overnight. Wake up at 5, work out every day, read 2 books a week, never procrastinate again, completely change their diet. Meditate, journal, learn a language, build a business, and for 3 days, they're unstoppable. Then reality shows up. Life interrupts, energy drops, the routine collapses, and another piece of self-trust disappears. Not because the goals were bad, because they were built on excitement instead of consistency. I've come to believe that self-respect isn't built through impressive moments. It's built through ordinary ones. Making your bed because you said you would. Going for the walk you promised yourself. Turning off the phone when you know it's time to focus. Finishing the task after the excitement has disappeared. Those moments don't look important. Nobody is applauding. Nobody is keeping score. But you are. Your mind is. Every one of those moments becomes another vote. Another piece of evidence. Another brick in the foundation of who you're becoming. The interesting thing is that people often underestimate how much they're watching themselves. You are always observing your own behavior. You're always collecting evidence about the kind of person you are. The question is, what story are your actions telling? Are they telling the story of someone who quits, someone who negotiates, someone who waits? Or are they telling the story of someone who can be trusted, someone who honors their commitments, someone who refuses to abandon themselves when things become uncomfortable? Because eventually, your life begins reflecting the relationship you have with yourself, not the relationship you wish you had, the one you've actually built. And that's where we're going next. Because once you understand how self-respect is earned, the next question becomes impossible to ignore. How do you stop betraying yourself and start becoming someone you genuinely respect? I think one of the saddest things a person can experience isn't failure. It's self-betrayal. Because failure teaches you something. Failure can make you stronger. Failure can expose weaknesses you didn't know you had. But self-betrayal is different. Self-betrayal is knowing exactly what needs to be done and repeatedly walking away from it. It's hearing that quiet voice inside you saying, do the hard thing, and choosing comfort instead. It's making another promise you already suspect you won't keep. It's looking in the mirror and slowly realizing that the person you've become isn't someone you completely trust anymore. That realization is heavy because no one else can fix it for you. I don't think people wake up one day and decide they're going to lose respect for themselves. It happens gradually, one compromise at a time, one excuse at a time. One moment of saying, "It doesn't really matter," until eventually those moments become a pattern, and patterns become identity. That's why the little things matter so much. Not because making your bed changes your life, not because going for one walk changes your life, but because every small action answers one question: can I trust myself? Trust is built through consistency. Think about every strong relationship you've ever had. It wasn't built because someone made one grand gesture. It was built because they consistently showed up. They did what they said they were going to do. They became predictable in the best possible way. Now apply that same idea to yourself. Imagine becoming someone who consistently shows up for their own life. Someone whose actions match their words. Someone who doesn't have to wonder whether they'll follow through. How different would your life feel? I think that's what self-respect really is. It's not thinking you're better than anyone else. It's not arrogance. It's not ego. It's the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you've earned your own trust. Nobody can give you that. Nobody can compliment you into having it. Nobody can motivate you into keeping it. It has to be built, and it's built in the same place everything meaningful is built. In repetition. The world has convinced a lot of people that confidence comes from outside. More money, more followers, a better body, a better job, recognition, success. Those things can feel good, but they're unstable foundations. Because if your confidence depends on external circumstances, then your confidence disappears the moment those circumstances change. Real confidence is different. Real confidence survives difficult seasons because it's rooted in character, not circumstances. It's rooted in knowing who you are when nobody else is around. Have you ever met someone who seemed calm under pressure? Someone who didn't panic every time life became difficult? People often assume they're just naturally confident. I don't think that's true. I think they've simply spent years keeping promises to themselves. They've accumulated so much evidence that difficult moments no longer convince them to quit. Their confidence isn't based on hope. It's based on history. They've seen themselves survive. They've seen themselves adapt. They've seen themselves keep going. And that history becomes strength. This is why comparison is so dangerous. You're comparing someone's visible results to your invisible struggles. You're comparing the chapter you're living to the book they're writing. What you don't see are the years they spent becoming the person they are. The mornings nobody witnessed. The sacrifices nobody celebrated. The habits nobody applauded. Character grows underground long before anyone sees the tree. I think we've become obsessed with visible success because it's easy to measure. Money can be counted. Followers can be counted. Awards can be displayed, but self-respect can't be measured that way. You either know you've earned it, or you know you haven't. There's no audience to convince, no performance to give, just you. Alone with your own reflection, knowing whether your words still mean something. Imagine waking up every morning without having to negotiate with yourself. Imagine not needing motivation because you've built a reputation with yourself. Imagine saying you'll do something and immediately believing it. That's freedom, Not because life becomes easier, because the internal battle becomes quieter. Your actions and your values finally begin working together instead of pulling against each other. I think that's what people are really searching for. Not motivation, not productivity. Peace. The kind of peace that comes from living in alignment, from no longer making excuses you don't even believe, from no longer carrying the weight of broken promises, from becoming someone whose private actions match their public goals. That kind of peace can't be purchased. It can't be borrowed. It has to be earned. So before you chase another goal, before you start another program, before you wait for another Monday, ask yourself one question. If I can't trust my own word, what exactly am I building? Because success built without self-respect is fragile. But self-respect becomes the foundation that everything else can stand on. And once that foundation is strong, the rest of your life begins to rise with it.